Welcome to Mavericks Cricket MCi coaching videos. Here's all you need to know about batting.
Playing spin. Yeah, I think game plans are very important, but at the same time it's good to be flexible. You know, have some sort of game plan, what you think you're trying to do. You know, trying to assess the bowler, see the conditions first of all, trying to assess what sort of surface you're playing on, how much is turning, what sort of bounce it is, and then trying to assess the bowler. You know, what sort of bowler he is. Is he turning it a lot? Is he a big turner of the ball generally? Has he got a decent arm ball? And what his variations are? You know, slider, depending on the type of bowler he is. You know, have some sort of visualization process, what sort of bowler he is. And then play there, accordingly from there. But be instinctive and be quick on your feet, I think is very important. You know, most of the top players are quick on their feet. And playing really good spinners, you want to try and beat right forward, right back. Be sharp on your feet like a boxer. Yeah. I think that helps a lot. And soft hands. Have soft hands. You don't want to be going hard at the ball in defence. Alright? And when you're defending, you want to defend straight. You don't want to be defending to the side of the wicket. You want to be going at the ball, but with soft hands. And you want to be going with the spin. When the ball's coming in, you want to be going with it. When the ball's going away, you want to be playing the line. If it's a really good ball, left arm spinner or leg spinner going away, and you play the line, should beat the bat. It's when you're going towards cover, etc., that's when you're going to edge it. When you're attacking the ball, then you want to go with the spin. Alright, you don't want to be fighting it. You want to go with it. Ball turning away, go with it. Ball coming in accordingly with the off spinner. Definitely. But I'd encourage them to learn more of the orthodox shots first, and the strong shots, going down the wicket, hitting your gaps, you know, hitting out to the sweepers, hitting down the ground, and I'd use the sweep as an alternative to get off strike. But definitely as a good all-round cricketer, especially when you go to some continent, playing the good spinners there, a sweep, I wouldn't say is essential, because some players don't play it, but I think you develop into a much better player if you do have the sweep in your repertoire. And it's harder to bowl against. And it creates a headache for the captain and the bowler to think.
What about situations where a spinner's bowling really well at you and you get a bit bogged down, but you've got to start scoring? What sort of thoughts would you or should you have as a batsman in that situation?
Yeah. Well, hopefully you've done your homework before. And when you get to a certain time as a cricketer, you know your strengths and weaknesses, and so you've got your areas where you can score boundaries. And so if your shot's the pick-up sweep, then you know if you do need a boundary, you can target the pick-up sweep. So I've got 2 or 3 shots against spinners that I back myself to go for boundaries, and if I need those, then I'll play those accordingly. But I've got to have done my homework before and done my work in the net, so I know when I come to a game I've got the shots in my locker, as opposed to trying to work it out on the field when the pressure's really on.
So what about practice then? How would you set up a practice session in a net? Would you just have people bowling at you? Could you set up a scenario in a net? What would be the best way to practice those sort of go-to shots?
I think it depends what you've got at your disposal. If you've got a bowling machine, or whether you've got bowlers, whether you've got a good outside net situation where you can rough up the surface. Just try and be adaptable, but and then just experiment, see what works for you. You know, the pick-up sweep or the inside out over cover of the left arm spinner. Just try and work out maybe all the shots. You know, going over mid-wicket, going over extra, sweeping. Maybe you can play them all, but try and work out for you what shot is best. But experiment in the net. And do a lot of it, because the best players, they do a lot of drills, and so they know when it comes to a game If the pressure's on, they can execute them properly. But they've done the hard work in the nets.
And sort of final question, and what are your thoughts on reverse sweep or the switch hit? We've seen that quite a bit in particularly one-day cricket. A lot of kids watch television and will try to mimic those shots. Do you think they're productive shots, or do you think the shots that aren't necessary?
No, I think they're very productive. And I think if you can execute them, then it's brilliant. But maybe it's not for you, and that's something you got to work out for yourself. But obviously, the more shots you got, the harder you are to bowl against. But at the same time, you don't want to overcomplicate things. If you can play like Ricky Ponting, who doesn't really play the sweep, and score hundreds without the sweep, then great. But if you're a lesser player than him and you need to score in other areas, then I think that's something you've got to work out for yourself.
What one message would you give to any young batsman watching this now who wants to learn how to master spin? What's the one thing you would say that they really need to learn to do?
Be flexible. And by being flexible, I'm not meaning physically. I'm saying mentally and regarding your game plans. Have 1 or 2 or 3 game plans, not just be fixed in your approach, and enjoy it. It's a good challenge. But if you can practice it and master it, then you'll create a lot of headaches for the captain and the bowler.
Thanks, man.